We are live and on the air. At about a 15-second delay. So, welcome everyone to the Foolish Tech Show. It is a dreary Tuesday morning out there, at least where I am. So, we are here to provide support and answer any questions about our products or services. If you have any of those, feel free to jump over to foolishtechshow.com. We have an IRC chat there. You can join and talk to us directly. And if you don't have any questions about our products or services, feel free to jump in on the conversation or even steer us and direct us in ways. So, how is everybody doing this morning?
Doing good.
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. Hope you are as well.
Well, I got a bunch of links here. Joe Chamberlain says could be worse. Yep, you can always do that. But first, I wanted to mention something Glenn had brought up in the chat. Not the dsupport suite one, because I have to check with Nick for that. But he was mentioning that Fab's latest 2 versions have been terrible for him. Fails at recovering data or storing data on both Windows 10 and 8. And he's having to go back 3 versions to use Fab. So if anyone out there is using Fabs and can confirm those type of issues.
Which specific version numbers is he having problems with, and which one works?
Yeah, Glenn, if you're still there, if you can let us know which versions you're having trouble with specifically. I'm sure that would help other people as well. And he's probably got like a 1 to 3 minute delay over there in Australia. So you would think YouTube would have their content distribution much better. But I guess for live streaming it's different. But anyway, while we wait on that, I saw an interesting oh, he was away from the keyboard. So did you hear our question of which specific versions of Fabs are you having issues with and which one works? And that's weird, Thermos. The Twitch looks like it's streaming here, but we don't know how Twitch works in the background. But YouTube's our primary one that we want to stream on, so get and watch it there. Cool. So Glenn's getting the numbers there. I thought this was a fairly interesting article to start off the day's morning discussions. Apparently, AdBlock Plus is now going to start selling ads. Does that make sense to anyone else?
I knew they were moving in this direction when they started to make concessions with websites.
Whitelist and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, they got bought out by somebody else. So.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Who was it that bought them out? I don't.
Nobody knows, as far as I understand. Like, it was like someone came to the developer and was like, "You got a great product here. We'll offer you a ton of money for it." And
well, the thing
we're going to completely ruin it. And he was like, "Well, okay."
The way they sold it is, this is my user base of these, 1 billion computers or hundreds of millions of computers or whatever it was. I mean, I'm sure the user base is huge. I mean, I had it installed on my systems at various points in times. So with that amount of user base, that's like gold, platinum, for an advertising company, or anybody looking to market or otherwise push services. So it doesn't surprise me that they were approached and agreed. They like the check, so. But there are other alternatives now, and they do need to be noted as kind of starting out this field. And if they decided to veer off now, it's okay because we have other plugins that take on those roles. And
what's your other alternative? What are you using for ad blocking besides Pi-hole?
well, I mean, I think the Pi-hole is one of the best solutions out there, but I am personally using, let me get away from my incognito window, but I am using Privacy Badger for the tracking stuff, but uBlock Origin, I think, and that seems to work really well.
Microblock Origin.
I guess, yeah, Microblock Origin, I guess is what they were going for there.
We can't. Oh, you could.
Hmm?
I thought you were talking, but you were just chewing. So go ahead.
Yeah. But I did want to say I thought AdBlock Plus started doing that like a couple years ago.
Well, they started allowing a whitelist so certain advertisers could pay them and not be blocked by their product.
Right,
Which is
Right.
kind of selling ads, but now it seems like they're actually getting into we're making our own ads and selling it so that not only we'll block all the other ads, but then we're actually going to inject ads on the pages that they visit.
Oh, okay. So that is a little bit different,
Yeah.
but not too different. I mean, it's like telling people not to use that years ago just because. Hey, well, if it's not going to actually do what it says, there's a whitelist you can't mess with, and yeah, it's not an ad blocker. It's a money maker.
Yeah. So Glenn reported that it's 6.4.1.27235 for the Fabs auto backup that he's getting to work. The latest one, 6.6.5.48483 is out, but he hasn't tested that. So I'm guessing. So Glenn was saying that the recent 2 versions of Fab's auto backups have been an issue for him, and he's had to revert to 6.4.1.27235. And then there's a new version out that he hasn't tested yet, but the issues he was having was failing to recover data or restoring data on both Windows 10 and 8. And he started doing testing once he saw some issues with someone that he was using it with. So,
Ouch.
yeah, and Fabs is pretty good about.
He's very good about those things, though.
So,
but like anyone else, he may not know or have, fully.
Well, I was responding. Thermos was saying he hasn't used Fabs in a while, but he thinks it's a good idea to email him with an issue. And I was saying that definitely let him know he's pretty good about responding and taking those things into account. So,
yeah.
Glenn, if you do get a chance to test that one out before the end of the show, the latest one, let us know if you're still seeing issues with that or if you're going to end up reporting it.
Did you say it was just Windows 10 or
8 and 10?
8 and 10.
Yep, and he wants to send them facts, so that's a good tester. Excellent work, Glenn. So otherwise,
template. Template. Oh, just for bug testing, like an automated generated template that just you could fill in the blanks if you wanted to, but it's kind of like a testing platform binary for use with this. Never mind, I'll write that down.
Yeah, that was a strange segue there. You just yelled out template.
Well, you never get like, you
never get everything you need to know about the system when you get bugged.
Well, and it's not just about the system, but like, when you ask someone, have you tried this on another system? Or on more than one system, is a problem isolated, just one system is like usually one of the first questions. And it's like, well, yeah, of course I have. Not always, so it just depends.
That would be an interesting program, actually, to have a debug testing program so that it gathers the system info, it maybe does screen recording or screenshots at least, and then is able to upload it to or email it to a support place, and then
Yeah.
they test it out on another system, and it gathers that system and shows them the same results. So it can,
And no offense to anyone submitting a proper report by what I just said, by the way, it's just, sometimes like when I'm on the phone with like level 1 tech on the cable internet or something, have you tried power cycling my? Yes, I have power cycled my router. I mean, there's always a no, I didn't, but
yeah.
my router's more reliable than your crap, so I ain't messing with it. Anyway.
But yeah, that is it. And what Nick was mentioning is something that probably everyone has always done, where it's someone asks you a question from support, and you think it's not an important question, so you just say what they want to hear, and it could actually be an important question. Like it may be that you needed to power cycle your router or something to that effect. But
well, even something that to ask less questions of people, and automatically record certain details and
yeah,
other things. Like for example, the program could, take a report from one machine and then contrast that against another. If you're running the same program on multiple machines.
Yeah.
And it'd be very helpful for us in the end. I can't do it though.
Yeah.
Not right now.
So another pretty interesting article I came across just this morning, actually, it was Glenn said one ISP issued a note: "Do not power cycle your router." I've never heard that before, so wonder what's going on with them. But anyway, I thought this article was interesting. This is actually a interesting use of facial recognition. A teacher is using facial recognition to identify bored students. And basically, he just wants to know how well his presentations are coming off. But I mean, I can see that as not that bad a thing. So like, teachers have that in front of their face when
I
they're
can save them the trouble. If you're a teacher, just count on it.
yeah. But I would say it'd be nicer so like they have alerts that they can then interact with those students and like call them out basically and get them
And
involved.
take a peek at them. They're right there in front of you, probably.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a remote learning course or you're in one of those like 200.
Well, you wouldn't be able to do the facial recognition stuff, but I mean, if you're giving a presentation to a large group, it is hard to focus or concentrate on any single person while you're also trying to provide the content.
Row 93, seat 45. Pay attention. Fool.
What? Did you say row 93?
Row 93, seat 45. It's
yeah.
Wake up.
Well, I would imagine like you could probably tackle it a little bit better. Like if you see people are looking bored, then maybe you could try to engage them and get them into the conversation, not just be like, "Hey, pay attention." All right, moving on. Blah blah blah.
Well, it's generally going to be the people in the back sections too.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's your narrowing it down. But anyway,
I'm not sure if it was if he was doing it as a live thing or if it was just recorded. It kind of looks recorded from the screenshot, and from what I'm reading, it kind of seems that way. Oh, just lost the show on YouTube. Nope, still going on both. That's weird.
Oh, it's just playing. This is weird internet.
Well, Thermos was saying that Twitch was indefinitely buffering for him. Although you may want to reload the page because for some reason over the weekend Twitch just incessantly buffered, and then yesterday it started working after the show. So I don't know what was going on there, but
Hey, I'm still trying to figure out who did the earthquake. Like no one's owning up to an earthquake in my area. Did you feel a quake yesterday around like just a few minutes after 5? Any tremors or anything like that?
Me or
Yeah, you. I know you're far away, but we got to be far away from wherever it happened. Proctor?
No, I didn't.
no?
Michael,
Didn't feel
you're
anything.
the closest. Michael Tank. Michael, you're the closest.
No, sorry. I mean, nothing I noticed.
What were you doing yesterday after 5?
He was working.
I was
right
I was
here.
working till about 5:30. So
Mm.
I
He
was
did
driving.
have his internet drop for a few seconds around that time. Maybe that was it.
well, yeah,
Hmm.
maybe.
Yeah, well, it was just a few minutes after I left the office chat. I was sitting here with Jade, and literally the house shook like 2 violent shakes, and things were rattling, and it sounded like a truck ran into our house. The front door started beeping because it's got the lock on it, and it beeps when the door opens and shuts, and it started beeping, and we were like, "What in the hell?" So we ran outside, and there's just nothing. All's quiet.
That is weird.
Everything's cool. Nothing fell on the house. No, everything was cool. We don't talk to our neighbors and stuff, so. But nothing's on the news or just weird. And then, but when I was Googling about it, apparently last year around this time and earlier this year and last year around the same time of last year or whatever, there was a lot of articles about mysterious rumbles and quakes and things that no one ever explained.
Yeah. I was just looking at it last year.
Yeah, and like someone up the beach posted about one 5 days ago. Here in a comment to an article from last year at that time.
Yeah, that's the article I was just looking at actually.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, and it's happened recently, I guess once before. I didn't think much about it, but it's starting to get kind of weird.
That is strange.
Yeah.
Well, there was a bunch of news articles. I don't know if I have them or if I took note of it because I was kind of like, eh. But apparently they just linked the moon to potentially causing earthquakes on Earth.
That's solely a statistical correlation, and I believe that the data does need to be looked at further. But it's interesting to note. But I mean,
Good point.
we've like births tend to go up around those times too, but it's hard to separate that. They haven't. I don't know. You know, there's something going on there maybe, but it may not be a direct correlation.
There's not any fracking around the Outer Banks that I know of, especially.
Well, we've had like the signs up for years about don't do that, or no
Yeah.
offshore drilling, drilling.
Yeah.
But like don't do that, blah blah blah, and
Well, offshore drilling isn't fracking though.
I know it was a big thing.
But they weren't doing it.
Yeah, I know
They
it's all.
weren't doing it. I don't know if they started.
It was a big thing across North Carolina for the fracking thing. I believe they did, but I'm pretty sure the fracking in North Carolina would be more towards Proctor's area.
Yeah.
I think it's more western North Carolina.
Yeah, it wouldn't. Well, yeah,
Piedmont area.
Closer to your area, but it wouldn't be on the Outer Banks. I'm pretty sure. But the offshore drilling, maybe. But I don't know if that would cause earthquake like stuff. I don't know. That's weird.
I didn't know if they started doing it yet or not. I'll have to look it up. But
It's probably DARPA.
oh, that's why I've been.
They opened up their labs recently to show off that they're not doing anything after setting up a perfectly lab that's set up to show off that they're not doing anything. But your area would be one of the primary focuses because there is a lot of money in that area for people that are about to lose it in the next 50 to 100 years because of water level and stuff. So maybe they're like trying to make mountains out of it. Wouldn't that be weird if the Outer Banks all of a sudden turned into mountains?
Yeah.
So then like you'd have a mountain and then to the beach. It'd be like California.
Kind of nice, actually.
Maybe that's what
That-
happened. in California.
According to a map by Harvard, there is, or at least the data. The data is a little bit old. It's from 2013, but there is at least one fracking site in North Carolina. It's in the mountain or near the mountains. But there's tons of. I mean, just because it's not in North Carolina, if you look at this, and I'll post this for our viewers out there. But it's quite a few spots. And remember, this data isn't recent, so it's quite possible that there's double this number of fracking sites. I'm not going to say that they're all over North Carolina by any means, but certainly there's some states that are almost completely fracked. I mean, there's not like space to even read the names of the states. So that's a little bit disturbing.
Fracked. The whole situation is fracked.
And if you'll note that the recent earthquake, that the biggest one that hit, I believe, wasn't it Oklahoma or one of those? I thought it was Oklahoma. Could be wrong, but yeah, it's right on top of a ton of fracking sites.
So apparently in 1990, the Congress passed a federal North Carolina Outer Banks Protection Act prohibiting leasing and drilling on federal seabeds offshore from North Carolina. Looks like Mobil and Marathon Oil were trying to do it, but then the government put a stop to it.
Well, if that was 1990, then they've been trying again because it's a politically charged topic around here.
Yeah, the first three results were
in recent years.
Banks. So.
I don't pay attention to it because my vote doesn't count. Excuse me.
EarthquakeTrack.com reports there's been about 10 earthquakes in western North Carolina, eastern Tennessee within the last about 30 days, ranging from 1.5 to 2.4 on the from 1.5 to 2.5 on the Richter scale.
I was looking at that, and supposedly none of that was supposed to be felt here at all.
Yeah, I don't think any of that would have been felt
anywhere close to here.
But there, a few years ago, probably 3 to 4 years ago, there was an earthquake that was felt in High Point. It was about 1.5 on the Richter scale. And I remember that. It did sound like a truck. Like I thought a truck hit a phone pole or something behind the office. But I felt the ground shake. I could see there was a grand piano next to me. I could see it shaking.
Yeah, our windows were rattling, the house was shaking. We were like, "Ooh!" I felt like I was gonna fall backward out the window or something. It was weird.
Yeah, luckily I was sitting in the floor at the time, but it was frightening. It felt like something like a truck hit the building or something nearby, and it sounded like it.
Glenn's calling on the.
Yeah, no, I was about to mention that after y'all finished.
He's a hawk, that Glenn.
What do you mean on your icons, not with your icons? I'm assuming you have the white label version and you installed it and installed the client version and it's not showing up your icons? Is that what I'm following? Because it should. I don't see any reason why it would be any different for the icon stuff, actually. If you can give me more details there. Last time I had tested the white label installer and done icons, it did all the icons correctly. Maybe if you Like with the version 8 installer, when you created that installer, did you go through and set all your icons? Because I have seen that where I had a previous version 7 white label installed, and then I just created an installer and then reinstalled over top of it, and it didn't replace all the icons, but it replaced the icons with the crypto prevent icon for the ones, because I hadn't set an icon in there. So maybe that side of it. We'll have to wait for his stream to catch up there. He was saying he was having a lot of buffering issues too.
John, I did find an article. The Outer Banks Voice says rumbles felt up the East Coast, but no earthquake recorded.
Oh, what's the date?
Yesterday. Oh wait, I'm sorry. My mistake. It's
Wait,
not yesterday. It was last year. Yeah.
You found the article that me and Brantley found. There's a comment in there that's like from a few days ago or something.
Yeah, I think that's what got me. Yeah.
It's like somebody else was commenting on that, probably Googling and going, oh, and he didn't read the date either. And he was like, I felt this.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should really close comments after a period of time on dated stories like that. One would think. And then have a board where they're all redirected.
It's fine with our white label, but not with the normal beta. Huh. So with the white label stuff, you have to use the new white label creator and create your installer for that. If it's not doing that route, like you can't just download the normal beta, install it, and have it pick up that way. I'm not really sure what the process is there, but
Well, yeah. Also specify if it's an like if you're trying testing upgrade. Well, you don't have an upgrade path to the beta, do you?
no, not for that. No. I mean, ideally, so with the white label version, and to make sure the white label version is working, you want to download the white label creator, create a new installer, and you should even be able to install that over top of it, although I highly recommend you uninstall 7 and then install your version 8, and then everything should be working as expected. You can't have your white label on the system and then uninstall it and then put the regular beta up there, because it's just going to be a regular beta at that point. It may pick up your product keys and stuff, but it's not going to do the white label side, I believe. I'll have to check a little bit more into that. I'll see, because I guess it should be working like that if it's picking up the key. And actually, yeah, it should be showing it's a white label and picking up that, but it wouldn't pick up your icon automatically unless you use the new white label creator and use that installer, because that installer is what would have the icon and everything to pull over and take over. If all that makes sense. But if you're saying you used the white label creator, created an installer, and then icons still weren't working, I'll have to look into that, because last I tested that was working, but maybe it's not now. Otherwise, Michael's been expecting this for a long time and wanting this. Twitter is going past 140 characters.
Oh, I was so waiting to hear what you were going to say next, and yeah, that's not something I've been waiting for a long time.
You haven't.
I've never used.
Every time I brought up Twitter, you're like, I don't understand why it's only 140 characters. That's ridiculous.
Okay, you helped me realize a little bit about some of the value of Twitter services in some developing country, and I do understand why it is that way, but you know this. I sometimes lose track of where.
That's also part of the appeal. Like, it's the fact that it's a short, concise message, not.
Yeah, so how is this going to affect that? I mean, will this
think it's-
degrade users' ability to access the service?
No, I don't think it will. It's just like if someone sends out a blog post length of a Twitter post, it's going to end up being like 15, 20 text messages.
So it'll just be split.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, if there's no impact, then more power to them. I don't personally use tweets, but for people that do, I guess this is great. Best of both worlds type scenario, right?
I don't know. I feel like it's not. I feel like that was what really helped set Twitter apart from other social medias is you don't have 15-page blog post of things.
Well, they're not doing it unilaterally. They're just not making it unlimited. They're doing it for media content. They're not counting that against the limit, and quoted text. They're not counting that against the limit. So, you know, I guess it depends.
So you put everything you want to say in quotes, and it just will be however long.
Well, that's a good question of how that's working. I didn't quite get that, but that's seemingly what they implied from.
There you go, Glenn. Exactly. It means long-winded people will be more annoying.
Okay, so Thermos responded.
And that was interesting, Glenn, about the atmospheric conditions. I'm trying to figure out how to really Google for that in one search, but it seems like there could be a lot to.
Yeah, that would be hard to track down, probably.
Yeah.
So the new white label is fine. Upgrading older versions. Issues, what happens to older customers who can't touch, who get upgraded. I will have to check into that. We'll see. So I guess that's a scenario I did not look at for that side. The white label ones go through a different update method, so I have control over those, and it may be that's why I haven't looked at that side of it, is because I haven't tested that side of it yet. So I'll look more into it and see what's going on. Joe Chamberlain says he has an issue starting D7.2. Wants to know if we can do a remote session to debug, has the same info.
I just want to throw out there before we move on off the white label upgrading that, you know, unless you're doing anything different with the way the installer script is deploying the icons and things like that, it shouldn't affect it at all. I mean, they're since they're separate from the program directory, and I'll have to look for, I'll double check, but so you move on. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'll look more into it and see what's going on, and because, like I said, we do have a separate one that's for the update path for white labels is separated from the regular update path, so that might be the reason that's going differently. And if you're just trying to use the version 8 installer, that one is on this path, not the white label path. So I'll look into it and we'll make sure that's included in there. You're Joe Chamberlain, you're having an issue starting D7.2. What do you mean there? Like, is it you can't start up in the safe mode at all either, or it's just not starting? Yeah, and Thermos, that's what I meant, that if you're trying to use the standard V8 installer, that doesn't take the white label stuff into account at all, so that's on the standard upgrade path, not the normal one. But if you use a installer that you created with the white label installer, that should be installing to the same path and should upgrade your old version 7 white labels normally. So it starts to load, then won't do anything. When you say it starts to load, like you get a message box or the loading box, or you get Like it double clicks and then stops, or I guess we can just see about remoting in, since it'll be difficult to transcribe all of that into text, I'm sure. So send us in a ticket for that one, and I'm sure Proctor or Michael will be able to schedule a timeout with you and see what's going on. Sound good, Proctor or Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Is it on a clean system, or one that's infected, or?
Did you ask Joe to shoot us an email over to support to get that
Have
scheduled?
you been listening to the show?
Okay, just making sure.
Like he just did that.
He was, but Proctor wasn't listening either, because I said it's going to be difficult to transcribe all that stuff, so we'll just get...
I just wanted to have that information. Yeah, I was listening.
So yeah, if you just send us a ticket, we'll get something scheduled out with you, Joe, and we'll see what's going on there. This is something else Michael's been waiting on a super long time. You ready for this one, Michael?
We'll see after I hear it.
I'm not sure if I'm ready for this one.
Netflix.
Oh yes, that's the good one. That's the good one.
Netflix is pushing the FCC to crack down on data usage caps. So mobile broadband has almost always had this set up, and obviously without any available unlimited plans that are really unlimited anymore, then it's obviously that's the way they're going in the future. But not only that, but standard broadband companies have started doing this as well, like Comcast most notably, and some others. Actually, Charter now, thanks to the
they all do it. Time Warner Cable, Charter.
No, Charter doesn't do it, and Time Warner Cable doesn't do it.
Oh.
I've never had any
in certain areas they do.
But it doesn't matter. They
don't
can't
know
do
why.
it anymore for the next 7 years. That's a part of their agreement
That's
with the
interesting.
merger. To allow the merger to go through, they had to agree to not impose data caps on their
Oh,
users.
God bless. Thank the Lord for them doing something at least.
This is all interesting coming from a company that restricts the quality of your video to whether or not you're using Edge. Weren't they doing that, Netflix?
Netflix was? Well, I think it's you have to use their Windows 10 app, or you have to use Edge to see it in full 4K 1080 whatever's. I still think it looks just fine on my Fire. Netflix won't even run for me in Chrome anymore. I don't know what's going on with that. Like, it just sits there and like tries to load an episode and just continuously tries to load.
They're still using HTML5 for that. They haven't gone back to Silverlight, have they?
I don't know. Well, it's always been in Windows 10 and Windows 8. You had to use their app if you wanted to get full quality.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's funny
it's good to have a nice big corporate player, though. At least
they ought to get slapped down just for that.
Well, it is funny too, because they were the ones that were cutting quality if they noticed you were on mobile, like just automatically cutting the quality if they noticed you were on mobile. So it's like they were kind of imposing their own caps. So it's kind of weird. Silver blight. So Charter caps you in Nebraska, Joe Chamberlain says. So they shouldn't anymore. And I have seen that a lot of the western side of the country gets data caps more often, which is really weird.
Yeah, I don't quite understand how why. Like I said, Time Warner, I'm pretty sure in some markets does do that, and I just don't know what they decide.
There's always some grandfather or some other clause or some other pre-existing arrangement that and then there's always the business plan, the almighty business dollar.
Yeah, and that's what Glenn pointed out there, is that he has a cap of 300 gigabytes where domestic ADSL VDSL users can buy 1,000 gigabyte plans. So it's ridiculous.
Just never be able to download those plans, the speeds that they're getting.
Yeah. It is ridiculous that they're all going that route, but they all want to make more money, so.
When I was in Myrtle Beach this weekend, I did confirm that Myrtle Beach, Verizon has implemented XLTE in Myrtle Beach, and I was seeing download speeds over the cellular that ranged from 3 megabits per second up to 74 megabits per second.
Yeah.
I actually did have 2 tests that went to 114 megabits, but I'm going to consider them erroneous. But I don't know.
The one you posted for us was you had a 73 megabits per second download speed and a 15 megabits per second upload speed.
Are we talking about megabits or megabytes?
Megabits.
Okay. So, yeah, the max, I forget what the max speed for that plan was. It 400 megabits per second or something like that, I believe.
Hey, Sheree.
But at any rate, I was told that that theoretical max was never going to get reached. So
that's faster than the plan that I have for Charter here, and we only get one plan option. It's 60 megabits down and 4 megabits up.
Oh God,
isn't that ridiculous?
On that,
yeah, that's faster than I get at home or the office.
So so his phone now has higher band. That's crazy.
That was in Myrtle Beach, but not back here in High Point.
And my city was on the list, but I am not seeing those download speeds on mine. So
I think you're on the rollout list. You're not on the implemented list.
Well,
but I just noticed that things were downloading extremely fast and decided to run a test.
But I mean, with their data limits, I wouldn't be able to switch over to Verizon, so can't do that.
Yeah.
And my signal sucks inside of the house, so the only option they would have is I can buy a broadband package and then set up a microcell tower in my house, so I can use my own internet for my phone. It doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. Glenn was told that all they would ever want is 25 megabits per second. Definitely not true. I don't know how I would deal with having a bandwidth cap, because I routinely go over 500 gigabytes every 2 weeks almost. That's about how often I reset my gateway, and it doesn't tell me previous amounts. But anyway,
I've never had a bandwidth cap since broadband has been available in North Carolina.
I haven't either, except on my cell phone. Like
same here. On the cell phone, yeah.
All my home ones have always been unlimited. Yeah, and I even had Comcast in Colorado, and we didn't have.
The interesting thing is, without them changing the node that I'm on or anything else, they can just flip a switch and switch me over to their business class service. Of course, they'll double my cost, of course, to do that, but I get the caps removed from doing that as well.
Or you could just pay $5, not double your costs, and go to a business plan and get your data caps removed.
I know, but if that just proves that there's absolutely no reason for them to have the data cap if they can just allow somebody to just casually drop it. So
that proves nothing, Michael.
Okay.
I mean,
well, they're not upgrading the node. They're not upgrading.
We agree with the
area, so they're obviously capable of
commentary on it.
Well, and it's not that, because they could be upgrading the node. Maybe your $5 is going directly into a upgrade in part that costs $5 a month to maintain. Did you ever think about that? Do you track people at your node? Do you watch them? Do you see them even?
Oh, if I could, I would.
Yeah, because you don't. So how are you saying that they're not upgrading your node or doing any of that stuff?
Because if they can just flip on the service tomorrow, the bandwidth's already there. So
It's not. Maybe it will downgrade everybody else until they have the person that comes out there tomorrow and upgrades it with that $5 implementation.
Yeah.
You're just assuming a whole lot there. So,
Or maybe just providing the extra bandwidth costs the ISP an additional amount of money, and they're charging you for it.
that's not the way the way they pay for bandwidth. It's not the way they do.
They don't even pay for bandwidth. They pay for
Exactly.
the infrastructure that provides bandwidth at a
Exactly.
And that's why it costs
They
$5.
periodically need to upgrade because people are.
So why don't they just put a node upgrade
Some
line
companies
item
do
on their
lease
bill?
infrastructure from other companies.
Why don't they put a node upgrade line item on the bills then instead, and get rid of these crazy data caps if it is just the infrastructure? Because I'm happy to pay for something that's real. I'm not happy to pay for some term that they like to use to.
So Michael would be happy if they just added $5 onto his bill.
As long as they called it a node upgrade maintenance. Yes, I just want to be told the truth.
They could call it whatever they want.
Can't handle
No.
the truth.
Yeah, you obviously can't handle the truth.
Can't handle the truth.
If they call it
Anyway,
a Michael off
The
fee,
truth is far too complicated for you to bother reading it.
Ouch, Glenn. That would be hard having a new computer on dial-up. I don't know how I wouldn't be able to do that. Like just the updates alone, like you would have to go somewhere to update. Like Windows 10, like they have anniversary updates twice a year that are going to be at least 2 gigabytes probably. So you're going to be
the whole year.
Yeah, you're going to be down by the time you get the first anniversary update. Next year's anniversary update will be out, and you'll have to download that.
Never disconnect. You'd have to have a dedicated line.
how much are they being charged for their dial-up plan, I wonder?
Blaming the PC for this. I love those.
Blaming the PC for the slowness. Nice.
Yeah.
I have the hardest time with my mom over that, actually, or did, until I gave up and upgraded her internet.
$9 a month for dial-up access. Wow. Do they have any more of those free or ad-supported dial-up plans anymore? Do y'all remember those?
Yeah, I remember them.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah. There's another one too.
What was the one you mentioned?
Net
Net
Zero.
Zero.
Yep. That's that was the most popular one.
Yeah.
Well, I thought this was pretty interesting, and this is kind of what I've been waiting for on the 3D printer revolution here, is new and interesting concepts coming up from that. So this is a example of a door handle with a latch.
Yeah, who's gonna ever put that on their door on anywhere?
Well, I mean, for what they're using it for, it seems like it's a viable use. Like if
Yeah, I just don't.
and if you notice,
the aesthetics of it.
It even has 3D printed hinges back there.
The aesthetics of it, though, I think is an issue. Once we can maybe do the 3D printing and have it look more like a commercial product, I think that's when we're just going to start to see some shifting replacements.
I mean,
but I was more interested in the 3D.
This isn't a this isn't a manufacturer ready release of this. It's just a showing you how this works. Like you can easily 3D print a cover to put over that.
That's true. That's true.
And make it look however you want. But
did you read the story about
up there? You wouldn't be able to see it happening.
Did you read the story about? Well, that's for an educational point of view too, certainly. And to learn about 3D printing, I agree. Did you see the stuff though about them building the big infrastructures for getting 3D printed plane parts? Is that to me is really interesting. I mean, I'm just curious if you knew that.
Is that
the plane was 3D printed? Would you board it?
Are you talking about? Is that GE?
I can't remember the name. Let me look at that again. I
know GE makes or they just purchased, or they just invested a whole bunch, or purchased a 3D printing technology company, whatever, or something like that.
Yeah. So this was the.
I'm checking.
Department of Energy. And this wasn't GE, but it looks like this is a tool. It's a tool used for the Boeing 777X plane. I don't think it's actually used in the construction of the plane, but it's a tool for it. But this is the article that I'm reading.
Unsure, Glenn. I'm not sure if that would pass the kick test.
But at any rate, like I said, if they're, because I'm sure they're not going to go out and advertise their planes. Oh, well, this plane's 3D printed. But, let's say you knew that the plane was 3D printed or had a large percentage of 3D printed parts. Would that change your decision to board it? Just curious if it would.
No. It's not like they would advertise that. Cherie had a question. Looks like from a Brightech video, she saw creating a Windows 7 PE with make_PE3. And I was trying to look it up, but let me see if I can do some Google foo here.
Maybe I will talk it out of them.
Yeah, we could ask him and see if, because we do talk to him and he can tell us, but
I'm looking into it now. That looks very easy to do.
Here, Cherie, it's a MediaFire link, so I'm not sure how trustworthy it is, but that's coming from this page, which explains putting it on RM flash drive, I believe.
I think this is a video of it in action.
She already has a video of it.
This
can't download it from their blog.
Here is, yeah, you got the same MediaFire link, right?
I guess. Did you see?
Let me see. F1A. Yeah, that's the same one.
Oh, Yep, I just tried it. MediaFire says that it won't let you download things because it's a dangerous file. Interesting. Why would they do that?
Something.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any like main place to download that, so.
That's a question. That's.
I'll check with the Brightech and see if he can get us a copy of it at the least, and we can share it on a Dropbox file or something like that. But yeah, that's interesting. How long ago did he make that video? That will be a big point if he has that program still or not, probably.
2013. That
may be why you're not going to find it. And I doubt he has a copy of that still. Did you not like the program that we did a show on for Windows 7 PE? I'm trying to pull up the show link. Hold on. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Give me a sec here. YouTube search algorithm is not the best. Or maybe I don't know what to search for. Nope, I do not know what to search for. So let me see if I can find that show some other way. It'll take me a few here to find it, so give me a few minutes. I'll find it. It was a pretty good one, and Phoenix was didn't like that program because he wanted to use a Windows 10 compatible one, and this one was only compatible with Windows 7. Yep, here we go. Slipstreaming Windows 7. Was that what it was? Maybe that was only slipstreaming that I was talking about.
Yeah, I think it was. Now that you mention it.
Well, either way, do you not like this link for it? Hold on, because we had it documented for making a PE disk with this. If I can get it. So this one, so it was slipstreaming is the recent video I found on it, but this one goes over using WinBuilder's easy to use version, but that one I believe creates it off of a 8.1. WinBuilder has been the one that I've always fallen back to since BarkPE.
They had a version 7, and they had one with Windows 7 and before WinBuilders.
Let's see if we can.
Yeah, you would have to dig it up. But I mean, it's probably just what that you load the different. WinBuilder has different profiles or scripts or something. A lot of people create various ones for WinBuilder, so it's not always just like what one way to do something. Like what I think the video you have is just like the basic 8.1. I like the 8.1 because it includes a lot of components that 7 didn't. For things to getting other various tools to work in it, but
later, Glenn.
Framework components updated and such.
That's the one I would recommend because and I actually haven't tried out. I just noticed on their page they have a Easy PE3, and that's a project that provides an elegant Windows 7 PE boot disk based on WinBuilder 082. So maybe that one might be the better option for you. But the WinBuilder 2013, it's a complex program. I'll go ahead and tell you that. It's definitely not an easy program, but it gives you a lot of options. And once you get used to it and go through it, it's pretty easy. Maybe we'll do that for our next Monday focus show.
Watch the vid. There's some quirks to it that you have to like hit a certain button in a certain order or something, or
yeah,
it's not like as
it's
intuitive.
not exactly intuitive. I would definitely say that, but
it's like sometimes it just like it appears to be working and you get an error, or it won't, or something won't work right.
That's what I liked about BarkPE is it was like,
yeah, BarkPE.
Pick your ISO, extract your ISO.
Yeah.
Pick what you want to plugins, create. That was it. So,
they still had power apart, but it was in making scripts or adding their stuff. But
WinBuilder, it's like you have to download a plan, and it's kind of like a distro almost, and like you download that, and it's a whole bunch of scripts that then allow you to do other things. And
yeah,
it is.
My quirk with it was just the interface. It's like, or maybe it's better now. It's been a few years since I actually used it, but it was, it was more like you had to you had to know to click on this tab and then click this button before your stuff over here in the left column would work at all, or even though you checked it, you would expect it to work. But
yeah, I think we'll look into that, doing that for our next week's Monday focus show. Since we did slip straining already, let's do that on PE. So. Oh yeah, we had that on our Josh PE CD. Pass mark burn-in test professional. I don't know if it was the professional version, but that was actually Nick's original stress testing. He had a batch file that launched that and something else, CPU heat or something.
Toast.
Yeah, toast and pass mark burn-in test.
I think about that. It was toast, and there was Prime 95. I think I used for a while too.
Yeah, I remember seeing that one.
And I ended up writing my own, which is the D7 stress utility. And in fact, that's a separate module. The stress helper in the D7 modules folder, there's a stress helper or two executable, and essentially I just run those. And since everything's multi-core now, and I didn't have that in anything that could do multiple threads, it launches a different thread for each core or hyper thread.
I mean, can anyone just run that outside of D7 too?
Yeah, you sure can. It'll take you'll manually end task on it when you're done, and then I don't know if it will automatically detect the number of threads and cores and such, or processor threading and then the cores and everything, or not. But if it doesn't, it will only just use like one. You have to just fire up a new instance for each thread, and then it'll work like that. But yeah, you could do that outside of it. It just anyway.
I'll just since I did heavily focus on a PE setup back in the day, I'll just go ahead and point out you don't want to use any program that you have to install. If you have to install it on a system, you're going to run into issues and troubles. You want to have a portable program. So maybe it forces you to install the first time, but you want to be able to grab that directory, put it on a different computer, and be able to run it without any problems. If you can do that, then it will work with Windows PE. If you can't do that, you're going to end up running into trouble, and it's going to be a big rabbit hole. You don't. Lots
of trouble. Now you could, check all system modifications with something like regshot, REGSHOT, or something like that, and then monitor the installation and copy all the registry entries and files, then make a batch file that installs them, registers them, imports the registry once WinPE starts, and then starts the program. You can do that. That's also not guaranteed to work either, because usually installed app is going to use some part of a framework component, especially these days, .NET or some junk.
But all of that is the rabbit hole that I was mentioning that you'd end up going down very quickly. So first, I would say make sure you can put it on a flash drive, run it from any computer. Then you can think about adding it to your PE setups. Otherwise, you can run D7.2 on PE, and you can also.
Oh yeah, you can just run that. But I only mention that, Brantley, because someone out there is like, there is now or will be watching later and go, yes, you can do that. It's not a problem. Well, it's not. It is a problem. You can do it, but it can be a problem.
Yeah. So maybe we'll even do it prior to the.
Oh wait. Let's just back up one, because we've been talking about stress utilities, but it's also worthy of note that anything that accesses the system registry or even file system that relies on knowing where the system directory is or looking for registry entries like, malware programs, unless it's D7.2's defunct and other functions, it's not going to work unless it's designed to work on what I call an offline Windows partition, because it won't find the Windows registry on the offline partition. It's going to use the WinPE registry, and it won't see what it's looking for. It might scan that hard drive, that partition that you're pointing it at, but it's not going to have all of those features working properly when it goes to detect other things based on registry and file system and all that other good stuff. So,
Yeah, so keep
That's
that in
just-
mind if you're trying to use a scanner.
yeah, if it's not designed for offline Windows partitions, it's not going to work 100%. Probably not at all, or very little. It won't be very effective. And it could, this is the other thing, it could end up removing, say, a file on the dumb partition scan that is necessary for it to find in normal program operation on a live system, where it would then have to reference a registry entry and look for a file and whatever. And if it doesn't see one of those things, then it may not detect or remove or whatever properly at all later on. So it may actually even prevent other scanners from doing their jobs once you get the system back up and running. So I would never recommend to run something like that offline, but unless it's those few select tools that we already have in like D7.2. But anyway, disclaimer over.
Okay. Well, that does reach our hour time limit. So, Shri, we'll definitely look at making a video on going over that and focusing on it. Probably will be for our next Monday focus show, but maybe we'll do it earlier. I'll see if I can spare some extra time to look into that and get a setup going. It's been a while since I've looked into making a PE setup. So, yeah, actually, Cherie, actually, I'm still using a BART PE CD to this day. One that I'd fully customized back when Nick and I were working side by side. Even has Nick's auto TVC stuff, which was the batch command size of D7 before it was D7. So,
Yeah.
I've been thinking about trying to upgrade to Windows 7 or 8 or 10. I'm probably thinking I'll go with a Windows 8 or 10 one, just because you'll have more hardware support and compatibility, and the UEFI booting stuff and all of that is in those. So, I'll see if we can
Drivers are a big issue when you
get one set up and going. Yeah, drivers are the
Network.
hardest thing.
usually just need network support, and that's
Yeah, network LAN cards and wireless cards and mass storage devices. But that's why I'm going for 8 or 10, is because usually the mass storage devices you don't have to worry that much about in 8 or 10.
yeah, and like in 8, I think the 8 and above, or 8.1 and above, those don't like, you don't have to go through some rigmarole to get to plug in a USB drive after you've booted.
Yeah,
Like in the
live
7 and
USB
below.
support, because
Yeah, you'd have to, like you do.
7
you plug in a
7
drive.
doesn't even include USB 3 support. So that was an after add. So that's another big reason. But well, I'll look into it, Shri, and we'll see what we can get worked up, and it should be good. I spent a lot of time on it with BART PE, so I'll try to put one in and probably be using that WinBuilder if you want to go ahead and get yourself acquainted with it. But,
Yeah, you can go ahead and focus on doing one, Brantley, that you would replace your old BART PE CD with. That's probably the goal.
yeah, that is what I want to do. So, all right. So, Joe Chamberlain, if you're still watching, hopefully you've sent us that ticket already, and we'll get something scheduled out to look with you. Otherwise, thanks everyone for joining us and being a part of our chat. And we will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday, 2 p.m. So, awesome. He's got a ticket, and we will see you then. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching.
Yep.
Take us on out, Proctor.